Take a look at the review that we were going over for Chapter 5, Topics 6 through 10. First, we have factoring and solving polynomials. So we have x cubed plus 7x squared minus 4x minus 28 equals 0. So to factor this, it's 4 terms. We'll factor this by grouping. So group together the first 2 terms and group together the second 2 terms. Factor out the GCF from each of them. And then factor out the x plus 7 that they have in common, leaving us with x squared minus 4. Now x squared minus 4 is a difference of 2 squares, x and 2, so that can be factored into x plus 2 and x minus 2. So the fully factored form would be this, right here. We can use this to find our solutions by setting each one of these factors equal to 0, or finding out the value of x that would make each of these 0. So to make x plus 7 0, x would have to be negative 7. To make x plus 2 0, x would have to be negative 2. And to make x minus 2 0, x would have to be positive 2. So our three solutions, because it's a degree 3, negative 7, negative 2, and positive 2. Number 2. X to the fourth plus x squared minus 30 equals 0. To factor this, we will factor it like a quadratic because it's 3 terms quadratic in nature, multiplying to negative 30 and adding to 1. So that's positive 6 and negative 5. So x to the fourth, I'm going to split this term into minus 5x squared and plus 6x squared minus 30, and then factor out the GCF from each group here. Factor out the x squared, leaving x squared minus 5, and factoring out the 6, leaving x squared minus 5. X squared minus 5 can be factored out. X squared plus 6 is remaining. Now neither of these can be factored any further. Okay, x squared minus 5 is not a difference of 2 squares, and neither is x squared plus 6. So for each of these, we want to know how to make these factors equal to 0, so we'll set each one of them equal to 0. X squared minus 5 equals 0, x squared plus 6 equals 0. Solving the first one, add 5 to both sides. X squared equals 5. Square root both sides. X is equal to plus or minus square root 5. For the second one, subtract 6 from both sides. Square root both sides. And we get x is equal to plus or minus I square root 6. We include the I because we don't want a negative under the radical. So we have 4 solutions because it's a fourth degree. Square root 5, negative square root 5, I root 6, negative I root 6. Number 3, x cubed minus 125 equals 0. We need to factor this using the difference of 2 cubes formula. A cubed minus b cubed factors into a minus b, a squared plus a times b plus b squared. So in this case, a is x and b is 5. So this would factor into x minus 5 as the first factor, x squared plus 5x plus 25 as the second factor. Now we would solve each of these to make them equal to 0. This one's pretty straightforward. You add 5, so one of our solutions is 5. This one's a little bit more challenging because we have to use the quadratic formula because a cannot be factored. So we'll use the quadratic formula, negative b plus minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a to solve this. So a is 1 because of this, b is 5, and c is 25. So x is equal to negative 5 plus minus the square root of b squared, so 25, minus 4 times 1 times 25, so minus 100, all over 2 times 1. So that's negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 75 over 2. And the square root of negative 75 can be split into 25, or negative 25, and 3. So 5i root 3 is the way to write that. So we have negative 5 plus or minus 5i root 3 over 2. And then we just split the 2 for each of these, so negative 5 over 2 plus or minus 5i root 3 over 2. And there are our other two solutions. So I have 5, negative 5 halves plus or minus 5i root 3 over 2. Or sorry, I should just include one of them, so plus. And negative 5 halves minus 5i root 3 over 2. And there are all of my solutions. Number 4. For number 4, we have 225x cubed minus 16x equals 0. First up with this one, you have to take out the GCF because they both have a GCF. They have an x in common, so you have to factor out the GCF there. Factor out the x, leaving 25x squared minus 16. Now 225x squared minus 16 is a difference of two squares, because if you square 15x, you get 225x squared, and if you square 4, you get 16. So this would factor into, as a difference of two squares, 15x plus 4 and 15x minus 4. At this point, we just set each one of our three factors equal to 0. So take the x, set it equal to 0. There's one of our solutions. Take the 15x plus 4 and set it equal to 0. Divide by 15, and we get x is equal to negative 4 over 15. That's another one. And then the last factor, 15x minus 4, set that equal to 0. Add 4, divide by 15, x is equal to 4 over 15. Number 5, the in behavior here, we have, this is the highest degree term, so this would be technically the first term. The leading coefficient is positive, meaning the right side goes up, so either this one or this one. The degree is 6, which is even, meaning both sides would do the same thing. So the left side should go up as well, so this is letter C. Number 6, once again, in behavior, this is the highest degree term, so this is the first term, has a leading coefficient that is negative, so the right side goes down, either this one or this one. And the degree is 5, which is odd, so the left side is going to do the opposite. Left side is going to go up, so that's letter D. Number 7, identify the zeros. The zeros and the x-intercept, same thing. It's the solutions, just like we did factored. Each one of these factors will give us a solution. The first one gives us x equals 0. Second one gives us x equals 4. Third one gives us x equals negative 2. And the last one gives us x equals negative 6. These are all the x values that would make each factor equal to 0. Number 9, so the right side is going up, so this should be a positive leading coefficient. So it's either D, A, or B. So it's not C. The x-intercepts are at 2, negative 2, 0, and 3. So the factors, this should have a factor of x plus 2. This should have a factor of just x. And this should have a factor of x minus 3. So we're looking at B here. That has all three factors that we need. Number 10, identify the equation. Okay, so it's a leading coefficient that's positive because it's going up. It should have a factor of x plus 2 for the negative 2. It should have a factor of x minus 1 for the positive 1, and should have a factor of x minus 3 for the positive 3. And that would be our equation. Number 14, where does this have multiplicity? It has multiplicity where a factor shows up twice, which would be a turning point at negative 3. So when we write our equation, that factor, x plus 3, for the turning point at negative 3, should show up twice, have an exponent of 2. This has a leading, so it says write the equation. This has a leading coefficient that's positive, so we have a plus sign out front. We have another factor for the negative 1, so x plus 1, and then we have another factor for the 1 and x minus 1.